Is it way too early to call Dan Muse a good head coach? Let's talk about it.
It's Crosby. Crosby on Kunitz and shot. Penguins win it! Sees part for Crosby to the goal. He scores!
Buckle up, baby. Are you kidding me?
And on Fane, the shot. He scores! Here's Crosby with a burst of speed up the middle. Gets open and scores!
They're a collective.
Andy Chiodo is beating Minamaki's brains in. What a show!
The Pittsburgh Penguins season starts now with the preseason, and it's all about leadership. We have a new head coach this upcoming season, Dan Muse. This is the first time he is a head coach in the National Hockey League, and we're going to talk a little bit about his history, but we're also going to talk about season expectations for this season and beyond. But first, Josh, who is Dan Muse? Where has he been? And is he a good fit for Pittsburgh? All you.
Yeah, I mean, Dan Muse, if you don't know already, was hired on June 4th to be the next head coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins. He has the background in player development from his time with the USHL and the USA National Team Development Program for the for U18 and U17. But on top of that, Louie mentioned it, this is his first head coaching gig in the NHL, but he also served as assistant coach in the NHL for both the Nashville Predators and most recently the New York Rangers. So, I mean, super inexperienced in terms of being a head coach, but there is a lot to desire in terms of his player development, which was the main attraction for him to be the next head coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins. And we got the youth movement where they're claiming that the youth movement is here. So now it is all on Dan to put his money where his mouth is, and let's put, essentially rubber to the road here and see some progress.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a little skeptical at first when we brought in a guy who was about the future, okay? When we bring in a guy after Mike Sullivan, which is a massive resume of a great head coach, one of the best coaches in Penguins history, in the National Hockey League. He has 2 Stanley Cups. And then we go and get a guy who's never been head coach, who has only worked at the NHL level, but who has never developed these Stanley Cup contending guys. He's only developed young guys. So then we bring him in the mix, and I'm like, well, we got Sid, Gino, Carlson, we got Letang, we got some old guys, we have Tristan Jarry. The things didn't line up for me. But then, with the moves that Kyle Dubas has made in the offseason, we are gearing up for that youthful movement, as Josh already said. So, is he the right guy for the job? I don't know. We talked about this the last couple episodes. We can't predict anything without a team in front of us, right? I can't judge anything without seeing it. And the preseason is starting this week. So I'm excited to see how they play. I'm excited to see where they're going, because I think that's a good tell of how these young guys are developed, because in the NHL preseason, it's very similar to the NFL preseason. You put the nobodies out there, right? You put the guys that are in the system, that are the third string, second string quarterbacks who aren't going to get a lot of gameplay. That's what the preseason for the National Hockey League is. You just expect these guys who've been playing like Sid. He's just going to hop in October 5th for the first game of the season. Like, he's just going to hop in. Like, he's fine. He doesn't need a preseason game. It's a little bit different than the NFL. Like, you throw in your starter for like like a drive, and that's it. You know, like, he gets off the field. They don't really do that in hockey. It's like either he suits up or he doesn't. And this is the time where you're testing out the young guns. This is the time that the fruit from the development is going to be seen for the very first time. So it's going to be very interesting to see if Dan Muse development is something that we get to see this week.
Yeah, and that'll be, like you said, the I guess the drive for this team. Can he develop the young guys that are supposed to be the, I guess, torch bearers after Crosby, Malkin, and Letang all end their careers here in Pittsburgh? What's it going to be like? So is Dan Muse going to be that developmental guy who gets these young guys going and then we move on from him? Or is he going to be able to command a locker room, like you said, of grown men who have families, who have mortgages, who, need to put food on the table for the family?
Not only that, that's been in the league longer than he has. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's a big question that I've always wondered for people like Sid, Gino, right? Gino has been known to kind of bark back to the coach every now and then. And how intimidating is that as a guy like Dan to come into an organization like the Penguins, to see the all-time greats for Penguins, Malkin, Letang, obviously Sidney Crosby, and to be like, hey guys, I know you've been doing it for 20 years. I have a new idea. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you come in to guys who've been around the block for years, and for him to just change it up?
And that's where this is crucial. The training camp period, going into the preseason period, this is where he develops that. This is where he sets his, quote unquote culture. This is where he, builds his voice, and it's crucial because if you come out flat, the team's going to come out flat. Correct. If you come out, lackadaisical, the team is not going to rally around you. So I'm not trying to project onto Dan Muse in any way, shape, or form, but I would imagine he's going to be coming out a certain way, expecting people to follow and to,
for sure,
come behind him and allow him to coach up and not be dismissive of any type of new way of doing things. Since, we've had Mike Sullivan for the last, decade, essentially, behind the bench. So, I mean, I know you want to get into a few things that we have heard from the training camp sessions, but one thing that I've always seen just from his introduction press conference to just the few media availabilities that he's had since becoming the head coach, he's a straight shooter. Like, he does not care. Essentially, he doesn't care about your feelings. He's just going to say what he thinks, not in a mean way, not like a Mike Sullivan, kind of jerky way, but they're both, kind of straight at you. I know you don't like that shot.
But, I don't like that. He's not a jerk. He disagreed with Dubas. He wasn't a jerk about it. Go ahead.
But
go ahead. Finish your point.
Yeah, just last thing about it is just I like the way that comes across, and I think, again, not projecting on Dan Muse, but if that's just the way he is in the locker room as well, I do believe he's going to win the veterans over very quickly.
And honestly, to piggyback off that, I think it doesn't take a lot to win these guys over, because there have been quotes from Sid and the older guys in the locker room that have said he's been in his office every day since he got hired. He has been watching film, trying to understand where we are at currently as a Penguins team to get us to a spot where we can utilize the developmental youth to succeed as a hockey team. And that's where I kind of want to go into right now. We have been back and forth with this idea. Are we going to be competitive, or are we just sitting on our hands waiting for McKenna so we could get McKenna? I see this all the time. We're going to tank for McKenna, and this is a perfect coach to do that because he's inexperienced. He's going to need a year, and this is the perfect time because give him 1 year to get used to the NHL. Then we get Gavin McKenna. Sidney Crosby passes the torch. Next thing you know, we win 500 Stanley Cups back to back. I get the vision. But what we have seen from Dan Muse is not that simple. And it doesn't really fit as much to that narrative. So we've had a mod go to a Discord mod. Shout out, join the Discord, link in bio. His name is Ethan, and he went to a training camp session, and he saw Dan Muse in action. And one of the things that I wanted to know, and I asked them, hey, was Dan Muse like happy-go-lucky? Was he like laughing with the players? Because you could still be like stern and still laugh with the players on the ice, right? You can have two different vibes, you know? Or was he very business, all straight face, hey, we got work to do? And he said it was the latter. He said this guy was working them hard. And there's only one theory that I could come up with this, is that Dan Muse working these guys, Dan Muse being all business, is not him trying to put on a face of like, I'm an NHL coach now, I have to be serious. I don't think it's that. I think he really believes that he can make this team competitive. Now, Kyle Dubas, at the start of training camp media availability, has said that we are one step closer to becoming a competitive hockey team. Why would he act like that? Why would Dubas say that if we are not going to try to be a little bit competitive this year? If he is watching film, if he is in his office every day, I think he's cooking up something for us Penguins fans to get a little bit excited for the future. And maybe Dan Muse is the guy to bring that young youth into this old core to kind of spark that energy from Gino, Carlson, Letang, now Marc-Andre Fleury, Sidney Crosby. I know he's only here for a preseason game. Everyone calm down. But it's exciting because we have an old core, young ideas, young development. Does that make a successful team?
Yeah, and that is, like you said, the $1 million question.
Yeah.
And, we've mentioned it on this podcast many times. We've tweeted it out many times. If 87's on this team, there's no such thing as a tank. Yeah. We're not quitting. We are not losing. If it is
on
up to
purpose.
Him. On purpose. But I think even just losing in general makes him angry. Like if it was up to him, if we'd be 82-0 every year.
Yes.
100%.
And I don't want to diminish other people's mentality about it because of course players want to win. But when you have a guy like Sidney Crosby, it's more than just winning. He wants to dominate. He wants to win.
Yeah.
And
he's got
go ahead.
Lack of a better term, he's got that Mamba mentality. Okay. Nice. For all you hockey/basketball fans out there, he's got that Mamba mentality where everyone is good enough to be in the league. If you are in the league, you are good enough. But then what separates you is everything else. Mm-hmm. And that's what Crosby has. Crosby is not afraid of the work ethic. Even though he is extremely godly, gifted, talented,
100%.
all of the above, he still has that work ethic. And just came across my feed literally not too long ago where I think it was Colby Armstrong telling the story about how he was at practice or something, and just kind of casually mentioned it to Crosby. Oh, well, like, of course, for you, it's easy. Yeah, you're just gifted. And he goes, but I've also worked at this.
Yeah.
So
and he took offense to that.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. He's dude, I work
in his work ethic.
Yes. 100%.
That he is not. I mean, what was the one of the last days of training camp? He's out there with Artur Silovs.
Yeah.
1-on-1.
Yeah.
Literally just taking shots.
Yeah, and it's not like he's just skating. He's setting up obstacles for himself to get down low and get angles. This isn't a guy who's just riding off in the sunset, collecting his dollars as his contract ends up. This guy's trying to win a Stanley Cup. This guy's trying to score goals. This guy's trying to get 82 points in a season, and that's why we love Sidney Crosby. But not only because we love Sidney Crosby, that's a tough organization to come into. That's intimidating. And the fact that we have a coach that's willing to sit in his office and him have that mentality of, hey, I'm going to sit in my office and I'm going to work my butt off. I'm going to put a game plan on, because he's in his office, looks over, sees the ice, sees Sidney Crosby working, and he's like,
yep,
all right, this is the team I'm working with. How do we improve that? It's going to be a long season. Don't get me wrong. I'm not expecting us to come off strong whatsoever. I think we have it's going to be one of those blue collar seasons for the Penguins. We have to work. We have to work for a win, and we have to fight to keep off the other teams from picking at us. Do you know what I'm saying? We have to defend ourselves strong, and it's going to be a hard working season. It's not going to be fun covering, but at least we're together.
And with that said, Louie, what would be your expectations for Dan Muse? Not so much the team, but just him as the coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins 2025-2026.
Are we talking about points, or are we just talking?
You can talk about points, but I'd be more interested in how you see him essentially controlling the bench. Is he going to wet the bed or rise to the occasion?
Yeah, I mean, we all have seen an NHL coach turning red on the bench, freaking out, pacing heavily. I don't think you get that from Dan. I don't think you get that. I think he is just going to sit back for the first week, 2 weeks, so first 10, 14 games, and you're just going to see him absorb all of it. I don't think you're going to see him argue with the ref. I don't think you're going to see him, encouraging players. That's what the assistant coaches are for. I think he is there to absorb, to see, and to implement his plan. That's it. I don't think he is coming in hot. I don't think he's freaking out, because you have to have a little bit of security, a little bit of security going into the season.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. The only thing I would like to see is good, I guess, structure. I would like to see structure and good situational hockey.
Yeah.
Okay. We're not going to make mental errors. We're going to play smart. We're not going to get, caught down low. We're not going to,
get pucked deep.
Well, yeah, essentially a bunch of Mike Sullivanisms.
Yeah. Well, that's just hockeyisms. That's just hockeyisms. Get pucked deep. But
just for real though, I felt like we were just not disciplined last year.
Oh, for sure.
Stupid penalties, all that. I would like us to be buttoned up, and I think I think that kind of is where he's coming across with that business-like that Ethan was referring to during that training camp session. I think it's just literally he's trying to just get the guys back to basics, okay? And not so much that we play simple hockey, but just so that it's foundational. You're back to the fundamentals, and you're just doing things the right way. Because I think that then you let your skill take over once you're done with the fundamentals, and that's when you succeed. So let's just start with the building blocks that Dan Muse is implementing now.
We'll end with a one-liner. We're not going to be the fastest team. Teams are going to be faster. But what beats speed? Precision. Time. And that is what we should focus on. Don't make errors. Let them skate past you. Take your time. And strike hard. And hopefully we get to see that from the Pittsburgh Penguins this preseason and the start of the season.
All right, guys, don't forget to tell us what you think in the comments. Don't forget to follow us on all social media. We are at Pens Collective across all the boards. Every single network, we are at Pens Collective. Additionally, we go live after every single game. Regular season. Every single. Except we do have a special. I will be going live the 27th after Marc-Andre Fleury's PTO farewell. Yeah. But other than that, every regular season game, we'll be going live to go over the game and just to express our feelings. Because it will, like Louie said, it will be a long season.
So join us.
Don't forget to join us. But thank you so much for listening. Stay tuned for what's coming next. And Louie, as always,
let's go Pens.
Felt so weird on the other side of it.
It's Crosby. Crosby on Trinity shot. Penguins win it!
Buckle up, baby. Are you kidding me?
We're a collective.